welcome to another one of my baby DIYs. Today I am going to be tackling this situation happening behind me. So let me show you really quickly what we're dealing with. This is where the towels and my bathrobe hang in this front bathroom. And these hooks, this is supposed to be an over the door hook, but it does not fit. If I try to put it hanging over the door won't close. There's not enough space between the top of the door and the bottom of the door frame to fit the little metal piece that needs to go over it. So my solution 100 years ago when I first moved into this house was to just kind of throw this over the door rack over the shower stall. I don't know that it was necessarily ever meant to be permanent, but I just needed a place to hang this stuff, and it's stayed like this ever since. And finally I decided that it's time to try to find a solution that is a little bit more intentional and more functional. Because even though this doesn't look like the worst thing in the world, it's not like it's an eyesore, it also just doesn't look like it goes here. And every time you go to take a shower, when you open the door, you have to slide this whole thing over to the side so that you can get in and out of the shower. So I really hate it, and it's time to fix it. So I went to Target and I was looking for things that I could use, looking for ideas, and I did find one piece that I liked. However, it was the wrong color, and I didn't want to have to paint it, and also it was $25, and I really thought that was a bit much to spend on it because, correct me if I am wrong, but what am I looking at here? I'm looking at a piece of wood with some hooks on it. That seemed like something even I could DIY, so that is what we're going to attempt to do today. So when I was at the Target, I remembered that there was a Michael's a couple doors down. So that was my first thought, and I went to Michael's and I found this piece of wood that I thought was absolutely perfect. So I picked this up. And this was only $6.99. This is a 5-inch by 20-inch wood slate, and it's very lightweight, but I really don't need anything super heavy duty, and I really think this is going to be kind of perfect. So I was really excited when I found this. But here's the thing, is that when I left the house, I didn't really have a clear idea in mind for what I wanted to do. So I did not measure the door. This just looked like it was about the right size to fit on the door, but it turns out it's a little bit too long because it fits on the door, but because of where these little pieces are on the back, these don't quite line up the way I would need them to in order for them to fit on the door. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So my first thought was, well, I guess I'm just going to have to cut it. But rather than making this more trouble than it needs to be, I decided to just put this on the wall next to the door. So I actually think I like that idea better. So that's the plan. Now, I don't want to keep it this color. I do want to paint it, and I don't know anything about how to paint anything. So I did have to buy spray paint. So I got this spray paint also at Michael's. This was $9.99. Now, I probably could have gotten another type of paint cheaper, maybe like a little thing of acrylic paint. I don't know. I don't know how to paint stuff. So I just bought this. I think it's going to be the easiest solution for me. However, there are options. So there would be nothing wrong with just leaving it like this. This is nice. And if this fits in with your decor in the room, then you could absolutely just leave it like this. If you do want to change the color of it, there are so many different options, and even though this was only $10, it's not very expensive, there are much, much cheaper options. So here are a couple of ideas I thought of. First of all, it's not a lot of surface area. So if you have a friend or a neighbor with a spray paint that's a color that you like, they might just let you use it since you're not using much. That's a possibility. But you could also cover this with something else, like peel and stick wallpaper was one idea that I had. So you could go to like Dollar Tree. They have those little like panels of peel and stick wallpaper. You probably wouldn't need more than 1 or 2 of those. So that would only be like a couple of dollars to cover it with some peel and stick wallpaper or something like that. You might even be able to use like contact paper. Or if you have some fabric lying around, again, it's not that much surface area, wouldn't take a bunch of fabric. So if you have fabric lying around, or you can not borrow, I guess, but if someone else has some spare fabric lying around that they're not doing anything with and they don't have any plans for, why couldn't you just hot glue some fabric on here to make it look nice? So when I tally up how much this project cost me, I'm including $10 for this because I did have to buy spray paint. But there are so many other options from, starting at $0 if you want to just keep it the way it is for that part of it. So I'm just going to include a range when I tally everything up and give you the total price of how much this cost me. But this little wood piece was, what did I say, $6.99? Yeah, $6.99 for this and $9.99 for the spray paint. So far I have spent with tax a total of $18.76. So at this point, my plan was to paint this and then add command hooks. So I went to just a couple doors down from the Michaels. There's a Lowe's, and I got 4 of these command hooks. So these hold 3 pounds. So I figured if each one, there's no way my bathrobe or a towel weighs more than like 3 pounds, right? So I figured these would be sufficient, and I've got 4 of these, and my plan was to just put them 1, 2, 3, 4 across my little board. So I'm going to spray paint this kind of like a very light sage green to match the towels that are in that bathroom. And then I thought these would look nice. They're like kind of a pewter-ish-y type of finish, I guess. So I thought that would be my best solution. I thought it would be manageable for me, and that was really the only idea I had at the time. And I was already kind of committed to seeing this thing through. I had my vision now. So I did buy 4 of these. However, these are $5.98 a piece. So this was all I bought at Lowe's, was these 4 command hooks, and with tax, that ended up costing me a total of $26.43, which doesn't seem too smart because I could have just bought the thing at Target for $25, and really I could have just painted it and I would have ended up spending less money than DIYing it. But like I said, I was already kind of committed to the project at that point. So I did buy these 4 command hooks, and I have them. But it was really bothering me that things were adding up so fast. So I wanted to try to think of another solution. And then I remembered. So here's my little over the door hook. I remember, well, cat's out of the bag now. I remembered that this part slips right off. So why can't I just use this? So then I had the idea that I can just find a way to attach this to my little wood panel so that I could return all 4 of those hooks, put that $26.43 back in my bank account, and now my total for this whole project is back to being under $20. So now this is the new plan. So now all I have to do is figure out how I'm going to attach this piece to my wood plank. I can't use command strips because you'll be able to see them, and I can't really glue it because there's not enough surface area. I have tried that before. I already know that glue is not going to be a viable option for me, so I started kind of rummaging around through my little tool drawer and seeing if I had anything that might work that I could use to affix the hooks to the wood piece. So I did think of just like hammering a nail in here and kind of hanging it off the nail, even though that wouldn't look very pretty. I thought it would be small enough and it would be such a minor detail that it might not bother me. Then I found these staples. So there's like 3 different kinds of staples in here. Who knows why or when I bought these. They were just living in that drawer. So none of them really fit. And I didn't want to use the black plastic and the white plastic, I really knew I wasn't going to like the way that was going to look anyway. So I got this idea though that I might be able to use these other staples, these kind of, I don't know what you call them, they're like naked staples. So these, I felt like the color, it doesn't exactly match this, but I felt like it might kind of blend in. And my idea was to staple it, just to kind of take like a hammer and staple it like this. Can you even see what I'm doing? So it would just kind of, I felt like this would kind of blend in, and it kind of looks like it's about to work. It looks like it's going to work, but it starts to fit on there, but then it ends up like not fitting. And I'm thinking like, well, maybe I can force it in, but this wood is so thin and kind of flimsy, and I think if I try to do that, I would just break it. I would split the wood, and obviously I don't want to do that. I would have to start over, and I would have wasted the money that I spent on this. So this was my plan, to just hammer this in here right like that. Can you see? Does that make sense? But I'm kind of glad that it didn't work out, because it caused me to go back to the DIY store. And now that I had something very specific in mind that I was trying to accomplish, I knew exactly what to look for. And I found something that I think is going to be pretty much perfect. I'm really excited to try it. I hope it works. So this is what I got. These are called push pin hangers. It says they hold up to 20 pounds. And let me show you what they look like. So here's the thing, is that matching the color was a priority, because I didn't want anything like bright silver that was going to stick out. This is kind of like a muted, I don't know what you call this color, but it's pretty muted. It's like silver adjacent, but it's like pewter maybe, I don't know. So these do not quite match it. However, I love the little rose. It's going to add a little like decorative, piece. And this little hook is going to fit perfectly in here to hold my rack in place. See, it fits perfectly. And then it just has this little, it's like a thumbtack thing, but it says it holds up to 20 pounds. So it comes three, what did I do? There's 3 in the package. So I bought 2 of these, 2 packages, because I'm hoping that I can just use 2 of them, one here and one here. I'm really hoping that just 2 of these is sufficient to hold this into place, because I would really prefer to not have to figure out how to space them so that it looks good. I really feel like one on each side would be just perfect. I feel like the color is going to blend right in. It's going to look nice with the light kind of sage green that I'm going to paint the wood, and it's going to look nice with this. And then it's got the little rose to kind of add a little bit of visual interest. So that is the plan, okay? The plan is to sand and paint this, and then once it's dry, tack these little hooks in there to hold these hooks in place. And then the plan is to just attach this to the wall using command strips. So I like these large picture hanging strips. These ones hold up to 15 pounds. That's what they say anyway. And they're the kind that they're like Velcro. So I probably already had some of these in the drawer, but I wasn't sure, and I figured these are things that I'll use anyway. So I did buy 1 new package of command strips, and these are only $5.99. So you may or may not need to purchase these. If you do need to purchase them, add another like $6 to your budget. But like I said, I probably had some hanging around already. I probably didn't need to buy them. But since you will need them regardless, whether you buy them specifically for this or you bought them at some point previously, it's something that you're going to need for this project. So I will include it in my final tally. But that's the plan, Stan. I'm just going to add command strips to these little pieces on the back and then just stick it to the wall. And that's it. So the only other thing that you may need for this is sandpaper. So I'm not sure, and I don't know if this means anything, that this spray paint that I got is Paint Plus Primer. I don't think I really need to sand this, but I asked the guy at the home improvement store if he thought I did, and he said I could probably get away with not sanding it, but probably it's a good idea to just, sand it a little bit so that the paint sticks. So I was about to buy sandpaper, but then I thought I must have sandpaper at home, and I did. So I have some sandpaper here that was already sitting in my drawer. I am not going to include the cost of sandpaper in this because I'm really sure you could get sandpaper very cheaply if you don't already have it. I think it's one of those things that almost everyone has. And if you don't have it and you don't want to buy it, again, I'm sure it's one of those things that you really could borrow. You must have a friend or a neighbor or a relative and say, hey, I'm doing this little DIY project. Do you happen to have a little piece of sandpaper I could borrow? Like, of course, you could borrow it. So, and if you don't have any and you don't have anyone you can borrow some from and you don't want to go buy some, I really don't think it's strictly necessary for this piece of wood that I got. But I am going to sand it down a little bit before I paint it. And that's it. So to add up, assuming that these little tacks that I got, these little push pin things that I got work, and assuming that I only need one package of them, that brings my running total so far to $6.99 for this little plank of wood, $9.99 for my can of spray paint, $5.99 for my command strips, and $4.49 for my push pin hangers. So that's going to bring my running total to just under $30. Without tax, everything I said I think adds up to $27.50-ish. So if you deduct the cost of the spray paint, that brings you under $20. So I do think that even though this ended up costing in the same ballpark as the piece I found at Target, I do think this is still a better option for me. I do think I can finish it a little bit cheaper. And also I think it's going to be, because remember, even if I spent the $25 on the piece at Target, I probably still would have had to buy command strips to hang it onto the wall. So you could kind of, if you want to compare apples to apples, you could deduct the cost of the command strips from this running total as well. So, because you would need those either way. So I definitely think this is going to be more cost effective. And at the end of the day, I'm going to have something that I made and it's going to be the right color. And it's going to be something that I can be proud of. And I know it's going to look beautiful in my bathroom. I hope it's going to look beautiful in my bathroom. So that's everything you're going to need for this project. And that's what everything cost me. So let's go ahead and get this sanded down so that we can paint it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really nervous about this part, but it's spray paint. I think I can do it. So I have my little piece of sandpaper and I'm just sanding this down. I think it's probably good. I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I don't really know what I'm looking for, but I feel like I've gotten all the sides. And hopefully that's enough so that the paint will stick. And I think we're ready to go ahead and paint it. So it does have this little piece of like twine or whatever you call this on the back of it. I don't know for sure that I'm going to not want to use this in some way at some point. So for right now, I'm just going to duct tape it down so that it stays out of the way and it doesn't get hit with the spray paint. All right, I think we're good to go. So apparently I just need to shake this for a good minute. That's what it says to do, so that's what I'm gonna do. All right, I've been shaking this for more than a minute, I'm sure, so hopefully that is sufficient. I just cut up a cardboard box and laid it down on the grass just so that I'm not spraying this directly onto the grass, and hopefully that is sufficient. All right. I've got my little goggles that I got when I was doing my CERT training. All right, this makes it almost look like I know what I'm doing. Probably not. Okay. I can spray paint a piece of wood, right? I can spray paint a piece of wood. Okay, here we go. It probably wouldn't have hurt to wear a mask, but I actually like the smell of the paint. All right, I think I'm definitely gonna need a few coats of it, but I mean, there's paint on the wood, so I'm doing it. I'm gonna let this dry for a couple minutes and then do like a couple more little coats on it. And then I think after it's fully dry, I might need to do more, but we'll see. So this is what it's looking like after doing 2 little coats. I'm just letting it dry for a couple more minutes, and then I'm gonna spray it again. Okay, I'm gonna do at least 1 more little coat for now, and then I'm gonna let it dry longer, like so that it's fully dry, and then I'll see if I'm liking the color or if I want to repeat this process again. I actually think it's starting to look really good. It might look almost white out here in the sunlight, but it's actually like this really pretty light sage green, and I think it's gonna go perfectly in that bathroom. I think it's gonna match the towels I have. And it really is kind of exactly true to the little lid. So I'm very happy with it. I feel like I want it to be just a little bit thicker. I'll probably do maybe just 1 more pass for right now, and then see how it's looking for tomorrow. But I've lost track how many times I've gone over it. Maybe like, I don't know, 6 or 7, something like that. But I'm just going until I feel like the paint's thick enough and the color is looking more or less like I want it to look. But again, it's kind of hard to tell what the color is actually looking like when I'm seeing it in the sunlight. It's gonna look different in my bathroom. But maybe just 1 more coat, maybe 2. Okay, I think this is looking pretty good for now. This might be fine, but here's my plan. I'm going to bring this inside and let it keep drying, and while it's drying I'm going to go ahead and get my command hooks up, because I feel like this needs a few more hours to dry completely, and once I get my command hooks up, they need to be on the wall for a few hours so the adhesive can really set before I'm ready to hang anything on them. So I can be doing both of those things at the same time. So for now, I think we're looking good with this. I'm gonna bring it inside and let it keep drying, and then let's get our command hooks up on the wall. All right, so the next thing I need to do is get the wall nice and clean so that my command strips will adhere to the wall. So this is the door where if my over the door hanger thing worked, this is where those hooks would be hanging. So my initial plan was to put the wood plank here, but it doesn't quite line up. Those little pieces on the back, which are that's where the command strips need to go, they don't quite land in between this little part of the frame. So instead, I'm going to just hang it over here on the wall next to the door. So I think it'll look really nice. It'll be something on this wall, and it'll be convenient, I think. When you're in here and the door's closed, you have access to everything you need right here, and yeah, so let's just go ahead and get the wall cleaned. I just like to clean it first with like regular kitchen cleaner or bathroom cleaner, and then I'm actually going to go over it again right where the command hooks are going to be, or the command strips. I guess I'm not really using hooks. Right over where the command strips are going to be with rubbing alcohol, just to make sure that the wall is completely clean. There's no dust or dirt or grime or anything like that that's going to prevent the adhesive from really adhering to the wall. Just cleaning off this one wall, I'm realizing how much in desperate need of a deep clean this front bathroom is. I need to just get up here and do all the walls. This will encourage me to do that, because now this one wall looks beautiful and clean, and the rest look like they have like a 3-inch layer of just nastiness on them. So yeah, definitely put that on the to-do list. So now I just have some isopropyl rubbing alcohol and a paper towel, and I'm just going to go over the general area where I want my command strips. I haven't measured it yet, and I haven't figured out precisely where they are going to go, but I know the general area. So I'm just going to make sure that that whole section of the wall is super duper clean. So just some rubbing alcohol on a paper towel is good. All right, that should be good. So while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and figure out exactly where I want my command strips to be because I haven't done that yet. I'm not really sure the best way to approach this. So I have my hooks here and I just hung my robe off of one of the hooks because that's the longest thing. So I want to start by kind of seeing where I want that to fall. And I have to remember that I'm pretty short, so what feels like it's high up to me is not going to feel high up to a lot of people, but I think that seems like a reasonable height to have it. And if it was hanging off the door, I feel like that's where it would be hanging. So I think right about here is good. So what I'm going to do is just make a little mark where this bottom line is, because that's where the tops of the hooks are. So let me just make a little line with pencil, just so I'm going to just use this as a guide. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is just measure this distance between the door and the mirror so that I'll know where the center of it is. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, I want it to be pretty much centered. Okay, it's about 31 inches. So at about 15.5 inches is where I want to make my mark to let me know that that is the halfway point. So 15.5. That is my halfway point. So that's where I want the center of my wood board to be. Now my board is 20 inches across, so that means that the next thing I need to do is line up this halfway mark that I just made between the door and the mirror, and line that up with my 10-inch mark on my measuring tape. And that way I'll know that the board needs to start here and here. All right, so now I know exactly where I want my board to go. I need to figure out where the command strips are going to go because they need to line up perfectly with these two pieces on the back of the board. So hopefully you can see the color a little better. Do you see how it's this beautiful, like light sage green? I don't think I'm gonna need another coat, but we'll see how it's looking tomorrow. For now, I just wanna place it. It's not all the way dry yet, so I have to be careful. It's still kind of sticky. So I have my halfway point here. I have my line for where I want the bottom of the board to go. So it's gonna go right like this pretty much. All right, so now I have the placement of the board. So now I just need to make a mark where those two little wood pieces are on the back so that I can line up my command strips with them. Should be pretty easy. Okay, so I'm just holding this in place and I can see, and I can actually even touch those little wood pieces. So I'm just going to make like an underline right where each one of these is. And that way I'll be able to perfectly line up my command strips. Oh, I have to be careful, it's still sticky. All I have to do is just line my command strips up so that they fall right above this line right here. And that will be perfect. Then when I go to hang the wood plaque, they should line up perfectly. Easy peasy, Georgia Weezy. So now this is the last thing that we're doing for this project today. We're going to have to finish it tomorrow because I want to give the paint a solid 24 hours to dry. So the next thing I need to do is open up my command strips. So just so you know, these command strips, these large picture hanging strips, this is what you get in the package. So it looks like 8 strips, but it's really 4 because they Velcro together. So for each strip, we need to take 2 of these. And one piece goes on the wall, the other piece is going to go right on the wood, and then they Velcro together. So we will have these ones left over for a future project. So just keep that in mind also when you're figuring out your budget and figuring out how cost effective this project is going to be for you. Keep it in mind that you are getting double what you need of these, and you will definitely find use for these in the future. So there's that. Now, I have showed you how to use these before. I showed you in great detail when I did my very first little baby DIY, which was hanging curtains in my living room. But I will show you again. I just probably won't go into quite as much detail. So I'm going to break off two. I just broke these in half. They rip right down the middle. And now I'm going to break these in half. I guess I could have just broken them off one at a time. But so here's how these work. There's a plastic backing on the back of one of these strips. I'm going to take that off and stick it to the wall. Then this other piece is going to stick onto my wood panel. And then when I hang the wood up, these are like a Velcro and they press together. Okay, you can hear them pressing together. All right, so that is why we need two of these strips for one side and two for the other side, okay? So let's go ahead and get this first strip up. There's a clear plastic backing, so I'm just going to peel that off. All right, so toss this, and then this little curved side goes facing the floor, because when you go to remove these, this is what you're going to pull down on to remove it. So the next thing I need to do is just line this up so that it's right above the mark I made, because I know that's where my little wood pieces are. Now, the really beautiful thing about command strips is that if you mess this part up, you can just take it off and redo it, okay? And it's not gonna cause any damage to your walls or anything like that. So if it's not perfect, don't worry about it too much. So as soon as you put this strip on the wall, you just want to apply pressure. Just keep applying constant pressure for a good 30 to 60 seconds, because you just really want the adhesive to stick to the wall. So just keep applying pressure for about 30 to 60 seconds. And then after these are on the wall, you always want to make sure you wait for like a long time before you actually hang anything on it. So in this case, we're going to be waiting like 24 hours because I'm waiting for my paint to dry. So I figured I'll just, the longer you can wait, the better, because then the more chance the adhesive has to really, really stick. All right, so I still need to think about the adhesive sticking to the back of my wood, but I think maybe what I'll do is tomorrow morning, because I don't want to put the adhesive, or maybe I could. You know what, maybe I could put it on there lightly and then put it face down. I think I'll do that. Yeah, look at me just like thinking on the fly. All right, that's been at least 1 minute. And I've been applying constant pressure, so that should be good. So now we're just going to repeat that process with the other strip. Just remove this little clear plastic backing. And just pull that off to expose the adhesive. And now we can toss that. And I'm just going to repeat the same process. So I'm just lining this up so that it's right above the mark I made earlier. And then same thing, press it into the wall and just apply constant pressure for at least a good 30 to 60 seconds. Okay, I think that should be good. So now these are going to have a nice long time to sit there and let the adhesive really set and make sure that they're going to adhere to the wall. So now all we have left to do is repeat that process. So I have these remaining two strips. I'm going to break these in half, and I will put one here and one here. so that then tomorrow we can just Velcro them together, and this will be all done. So once the paint dries, I'll go ahead and hopefully get my little rack attached to this, and then all we have to do is just pop it up there. So I'm really loving the way this is coming together. This color is absolutely beautiful. It's perfect. It's the exact color I wanted. So I don't think that I'm going to have to put any more spray paint on here. I think we are almost finished, although really getting the hooks on here is going to be kind of a crucial part of this, so hopefully that goes well, but we'll tackle that tomorrow. For today, I'm very happy with what I've gotten done so far, and it's looking good, so I am cautiously optimistic that this is all going to work out. All right, it is the next day. My paint is dry, and I'm very, very happy with the way this came out. I don't think it needs any more paint. I don't really know how to tell when there's enough paint on something, but it looks good to me, so I'm gonna say that this portion of the project is complete. I have put the other half of my command strips on the back of my plank of wood, so all that's left to do is just press the two little Velcro parts together to get this up onto the wall. But first, of course, I have to attach my hooks on here. So what I'm going to do first is measure. I wanted to use this little loop as a guide, but this is not actually the halfway point, and I'm not going to be using this anyway, so I'm actually going to go duct tape this back down for now, just in case I ever maybe want to hang this by this little piece of rope in the future. But for now, I think it's going to look better without it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just duct tape this down really quickly so it's out of my way. All right, that way if I ever decide that I want to use that at any point in the future, I have that option. But for now, it just is kind of in the way and it doesn't look right. So there we go, that takes care of that. So now the next thing I need to do is just measure this so that I can line up my hooks and make sure they're perfectly centered and exactly where I want them. And then I'm just going to mark it with a pencil. And then I'll go ahead and give these little push pin hangers a shot. I'm really, really hopeful that these are going to work. All right, so this is 20 inches across. That means that right here is my halfway point. This is 10 inches. So I want to place my hooks so that this middle hook is right on that 10-inch mark. So this is my center. That's where I want my hooks to be. Now I know it's centered, so the only thing I need to make sure of is that it's where I want it as far as height. I think I want to slide it down just a touch. This part I'm not going to measure. I'm just going by what it looks like. All right, so I think I like that. I want about the same amount of space on top as on the bottom. Maybe I'll slide it down just a touch more. All right, so this is where I want this to be. So what I'm going to do is just mark a little dot right above each of these little notches where my push pin hanger is going to go. So that's that one. And that's that one. All right, so these come 3 to a pack. Hopefully, I'm just going to need these 2. I do have an extra pack of these just in case. But it might be a little bit tricky getting these placed. So I really hope I get it on the first try because I don't know if you can see, but the little tack part is angled down slightly. That's the way these are designed. So when this is in, I obviously want the back of it to be flush up against the wood like this. So you can see when I do that, that this part angles down slightly. So where I want it to end up is maybe just going to be a little bit below where I start pushing this in. I'm not sure. So I think, let me see, if I start pushing it in at this exact spot, ouch, sharp. guess that's good. It's going to be in the hook like this, which means I want this to press into the wood right here. All right, so what I did is just kind of pressed this very, very lightly into there just to make a small little mark so that I know where to press it. Now, wish me luck. I'm really nervous. I don't want to like break this thing. All right. Just start pushing it in. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to mark, let me see exactly how far down this is. So that is like exactly 1 inch down. So I'm just going to really quickly mark the same spot on this side. I'm going to make a little teeny tiny hole, like just kind of getting this started. All I just did right now is just make sure that my holes, like I don't have a level, but I'm essentially using my tape measure to make sure that it's level. So that I measured each one of my holes is starting exactly 1 inch from the top. So that way this will be even. This won't be like lopsided or something. If you have a level, I'm sure you could make use of that for this, but yeah. All right, let me just go for it and try pushing one of these in. I don't think I need a hammer or anything because they're called push pin hangers. So I should be able to just push them in, right? Maybe I should grab a hammer. So I'm going to try to just very gently hammer this in. Just want to be really, really gentle with it because this wood is very lightweight. I don't know if that's the right word for wood, but I really just don't want to crack this or anything. So before I get it all the way flush, it's almost, can you see it's almost all the way in there? But before I get it all the way flush to the wood, let me get the other one in there and just make sure that they're both positioned properly. But wait, that looks pretty, huh? And I didn't I didn't like crack this or anything. So let's hope I can do the other side as skillfully. Let's see. So I have my little hole already started. So I'm just gonna press this in. Okay, so now I'm just going to very, very carefully start hammering it. Okay, so that is almost all the way in. They just need to both be tightened up just a touch more, but I have them in place. So here we go, the moment of truth. Let's see how this works. Oh my goodness. I think I did it. Doesn't it look so pretty? Oh my gosh. Okay. It looks like it's even. All right, let me just tighten these up and then I think it's gonna hold everything too. I don't think I need any more hooks. Let me just get these tightened up and then we'll try it out for real. Okay, so they're in. Don't they look pretty? I think these are really, really pretty, and assuming that they work, I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm so happy that I was able to find these. And remember, I was going to just use big ugly staples to hold this thing into place, and I'm so glad it didn't work. You guys, sometimes things just work out the way they're meant to work out. So let's go ahead and get this up on the wall, and then we'll hang our hook on it, and then we're done. So I'm feeling really, 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 really good about this. I'm excited. I think it looks really pretty. So let's see if all my hard work has paid off and if I am able to successfully complete another teeny tiny baby DIY. All we have to do is line up our command strips to the ones that are on the wall. Just making sure the tops line up first. Okay, and now I just need to press this in. no, you can hear the Velcro clicking together. What I should have done, the way you're supposed to do this, and I know better because I've used these before. I think I just had too many thoughts swimming around in my head. What I should have done is put both sides of the Velcro together on the wall. And then when I was ready to hang this, what you're supposed to do is take off the backing strip then and place this on. But you're supposed to press the Velcro together first before you put on whatever you want to hold. Does that make sense? So what I should have done is place those strips on the wall that I did, that's fine. But then I should have taken the other half of each of those and Velcroed them together on the wall. And then when it was time to put this up, peel the backing off of this second half of the strip that was on the wall and just press this into it. But I didn't do that. So I'm having to just very carefully press this together. So do you hear that? That's not the wood cracking. That's the sound of the Velcro coming together. So you just have to press it until all of your Velcro is attached. Okay, so this is why I share all of this with you so you can avoid the mistakes that I am making. And I swear I've made this mistake before using these command strips, but whatever, it's been a minute, so I guess I forgot. All right, I think all the Velcro is pushed in there. I'm not hearing any more of that crackling sound, and I'm applying pressure all up and down where the command strips are. So I think we're good, and it feels really, really secure up there. So didn't do it exactly the way I would have if I would have thought it through, and not the way I think I was supposed to, but this works too. So as long as the end result is a success, I'm good with that. That is really in there. That feels great. So now all I have left to do is just hang my hooks. We're done. All right. Hopefully they're lined up correctly. And there we go. That looks absolutely beautiful. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, now, if I had purchased the one at Target, first of all, it was stark white. It would not have gone with the color scheme in here. I wouldn't have liked the way it looked. And it was just those 4 hooks that looked really, really generic. Honestly, it's fine, but it looks kind of generic. This looks so much nicer and kind of custom. And no, these little roses are not the exact same color, but they blend in and they look fine to me. This, I think, was by far my best option to attach the hooks to the wood. So I'm really, really glad that the staples didn't work, and I found these because these are just gorgeous. So I think that's going to be sufficient. I don't think I need more of these. I think those 2 on the ends are going to be just fine. It says each one holds 20 pounds. So, and all I was going to hang on here is a couple of towels in my bathrobe. So yeah, I think we're done. I think that's it. So let me go ahead and get the towels hung on them, and I'll see how everything looks. I'm so excited. All done. Oh my gosh, you see what I'm saying about this green? It doesn't match exactly. This one's kind of actually a little bit brighter. This one's more muted, but I still love this color, this very, very pretty light sage green, I think that you would call that, or maybe almost like a mint green compared to this, but I think it's really, really pretty and functional, and I am ecstatic that I made this work. I'm so happy with the end result. I think this looks absolutely beautiful, and it definitely feels like it is going to hold. So I think that's a success. All right, so my latest teeny tiny baby DIY is a success. I am so thrilled with how it turned out. I want to say it came out even better than I envisioned, better than I could have even hoped for. I love it. I think it's absolutely perfect. So what I did is I totaled up how much it cost me. So I'm gonna give you my total, but I also calculated kind of a range because you may not need to purchase all of the same things that I purchased to do this DIY, and you may need to purchase things that I didn't have to purchase. So remember, our inspiration piece from Target was $25. So what I ended up spending to do this DIY was a total of $27.46. That's before tax. And that included the wood, the spray paint, the command strips, and the push pin hooks. All right, so it was $6.99 for the wood, $9.99 for the spray paint, $5.99 for the command strips, and $4.49 for the push pin hooks. Now, the push pin hooks came 3 in a package, so I still have 1 left that I can use for another project if I would like to. The command strips, I only used half of them, so I now have another essentially 2 command strips. It's 4, but really it's 2 because they have to Velcro together. So I have enough command strips for probably like 1 more project. And then the spray paint, I have lots of that spray paint left over. So I'm already thinking of kind of matching pieces that I can do in there. Like maybe a smaller piece of wood with 1 hook on it to hold like a little hand towel. So I'm already like coming up with ideas for how I can do projects similar to this using that spray paint. So when I do my next project, I won't have to buy spray paint. So I calculated a range. I think you can do this project for as little as $15, but it might cost you up to $40 or more. And I know that sounds like a lot, but that's because, well, it depends on how much you find the piece of wood for, but also if you have a piece of wood that could work, you could save money there as well. So if you have like scrap pieces of wood, it's just a very simple little plank of wood. So you might already have wood in your garage or something that could work. Of course, I did not include the cost of the sandpaper because, like I said, that's something I think everybody pretty much has or can borrow. If you need to buy sandpaper, then, you know, it's going to cost you a couple of dollars, but sandpaper is not expensive. The command strips, you could, you know, I rent my home, so I'm always looking for renter-friendly options. So the command strips for me are a must, and also I'm not very handy. I don't want to be drilling holes into the wall. So if you are handy and you own your home and you can drill holes, then you could probably do it even cheaper because you wouldn't have to buy command strips. But, you know, for me, the command strips are a must. Now, the thing that really kind of blows up the budget, the thing that saved me so much money was being able to repurpose the hook from the over the door hanger thing and just attach that to the wood. Now, had that not worked out for me, I would have had to purchase command hooks. And I would have wanted to do at least 4 command hooks across there. So that's why there's such a big range. And that's what kind of really made my budget explode before I had the realization that I could repurpose the hooks I already had. So I purchased 4 command hooks because that was my initial plan. And the command hooks were $5.98 a piece. So purchasing 4 of them cost me $23.92. Now, if your wood is longer, if you have more things to hang and you need to buy more command hooks, or if it's shorter and you only need to use 2 command hooks, that's why there's such a big range there. But the command hooks are the thing that really kind of puts this over the top. So it doesn't have to be command hooks. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to use command strips to adhere the wood to the wall, then you can just buy hooks that you can screw into your piece of wood. So that's another option, and that would probably be cheaper than the command strips. I'm not sure. But that's the really crucial factor, I think, in determining your budget for this. It was a huge help that I was able to repurpose the hooks I already had, and now those command hooks can go back to the store, and that $23.92 can go back into my bank account. The push pin hooks. So those came 3 to a package, so I have 1 more that I can use for a future project if I want to. I had purchased 2 packages, but I'm going to return the other one, I think. But that's something I didn't even know ever existed. I was just so fortunate that I found those. So if you're interested, they're made by Hillman. So this is a brand I know is like a well-known brand. That's what they look like. They're called push pin hangers. So if this is going to work out for you the same way it worked out for me, I strongly recommend something like this, because this ended up being just perfect for my project. And I didn't even know they existed. I'm so glad this staple thing didn't work. But if you want to do it cheaper, you can try something like I did. See what you have in your tool drawer or something, and something like those staples. They almost would have worked. They just wouldn't have looked anywhere near as pretty as these little rose push pins ended up looking. So for my total, I ended up spending $27.46. Now that sounds like I ended up spending more to DIY it, but that's not really accurate, because had I spent the $25 on the inspiration piece at Target, I still would have had to purchase command strips to hang it on the wall, because again, I'm not going to be drilling holes in the wall or hammering anything into the wall. I would have chosen to adhere it to the wall using command strips. So I would have had to buy those. So if I deduct the command strips from my total, just to compare apples to apples, that would bring my total down to $21.47. And you add to that the fact that I now have a custom piece that's the color I wanted, that matches my bathroom, instead of having to settle for that white wood that I didn't like and that didn't match my bathroom, and those metal hooks that just looked generic and kind of like standard issue. I now have something that's incredibly unique, and it is painted the exact color I want it to match my bathroom. And it ended up costing me $4.50 less than what the inspiration piece would have cost me when you factor in the command strips that I would have had to buy to hang it. So I did end up saving myself a few dollars. Of course, it was more work having to run around to different stores and get the supplies I needed and figure out, how to sand it and paint it. And, it was more work, but it's worth it. I mean, you see me smiling right now. I'm so happy with the result. And it's really rewarding to know that I did that. I'm the least handy person on the planet. I can't DIY to save my life, but I'm trying, and I am absolutely thrilled. Every time I go in that bathroom and I see that hanging on the wall, I'm just gonna feel so proud of myself, and I love the way it looks. So when you factor that in, even if it ended up costing me more than the $25, I think it would have been worth it. But at the end of the day, I ended up saving myself about $4.50. And some of that is luck because of not having to spend so much money on the command strips. But I am really, really thrilled with the result. So thank you for making it this far in the video. I think that's it for today. But before I say goodbye, I just want to tell you that I do have on my channel a very short list of baby DIYs, but that is not what I do. This is primarily a fitness channel. I also post some acting and singing videos, so if you're interested in that, please subscribe. But generally speaking, the majority of my content is home workouts. So if you are interested in working out at home, please subscribe to my channel. I have multiple playlists of workouts that are as short as 5 minutes long, and some of them are as long as 4 hours long. I have body weight workouts where you don't need any exercise equipment whatsoever to follow along, but I do tend to incorporate some basic pieces of equipment into my workouts, like just dumbbells, a jump rope, I have a sandbag, but I'm always providing equipment-free substitutions for you. It's really important to me that all of my workouts are always accessible to anyone and everyone who wants to do them with me, so I'm always here to help facilitate that. I'm always available to answer questions, and I'm always going out of my way to explain and demonstrate the exercises before we begin the workout and provide you with equipment-free substitutions and beginner modifications. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I hope you will subscribe to my channel while you are here and check out some of my at-home workouts. Speaking of which, I am starting a new challenge tomorrow. So tomorrow is Wednesday, and tomorrow is the start of my 7th annual SLAP challenge. SLAP. S-L-A-P, that stands for squats, lunges, abs, and push-ups. This is a challenge that I have done for the previous 6 years. We're doing it again this year. And here's what the challenge is in a nutshell. We are doing 40 squats, 40 lunges, 40 reps of an ab exercise, and 40 push-ups a day, every single day except Sundays for 40 days. And tomorrow is day 1. there is a playlist that contains all the workouts that we are doing for this challenge. I will link it up here in the iCard. So if you're interested in checking out this challenge, click on the link in the iCard, save that playlist, and then start by just watching the day one video. The video that I shared on day one of the challenge is going to explain everything you could ever possibly want to know about the challenge. It is going to explain exactly what the challenge is in detail, why we're doing it, how you can participate, because yes, you can participate. Even if you think that sounds like too much, if you can't do all those reps, that's 160 reps every day. Well, if you can't do 160 reps, do 80 reps, do 40 reps, do 20 reps. And if you can't do 40 days in a row, do every other day, okay? If you're the one doing it, it is your challenge, so you do it in whatever way works for you, and know that I will be here every step of the way doing the challenge right along with you, and I will be here to help. I will be here to answer any questions that you may have. So if you are interested in joining the challenge, you don't have to commit to anything. All I want you to do is click on the link in the iCard, save the playlist, and watch that day one video that's going to explain everything that you need to know, and then just take it from there. All right, it's very easy to follow along with the challenge. When and if you decide that you want to join, all you do is just do one workout a day. Sundays are our rest days, but Monday through Saturday of each week, starting with the second full week. The challenge starts on a Wednesday, so make sure that you start your challenge with your day one workout on a Wednesday. Any given Wednesday will work. You start with your day one workout on a Wednesday, and from there, you just do a new workout every day. Just follow along with the playlist and rest on Sundays. So for example, day one is Wednesday, day two would be Thursday, day three is Friday, day four is Saturday. Sunday you rest. And then on Monday, you pick it up again with day 5. And starting with that first Monday of the challenge, you're just working out Monday through Saturday of every week, resting on Sunday. So it's really, really easy to follow along. So hopefully that is all clear. If you're having trouble finding anything, or if you have questions, I'm here to help. So please let me know. But I really hope that some of you will join me for the slap challenge. This is my 7th year in a row doing it. I'm really excited to get started on it. If you decide to join the challenge, please let me know so that I have an idea of how many people are doing the challenge with me this year. And of course, you don't have to join the challenge. You can just do the workouts as they come whenever you have time. You don't have to be so structured about it. And if the slap workouts aren't doing it for you, check out some of my other playlists. I have a playlist that contains all of my workouts. There's almost 1,000 workouts on there. But if you're looking for a 15-minute workout, I have an entire playlist of 15-minute workouts. If you're looking for a 30-minute workout, or a 20-minute workout, or a 5-minute workout, if you're looking for a workout that doesn't use any equipment, or a workout that just has 2 exercises so you don't have to think about anything and you don't have to memorize a bunch of stuff, it's all there. So I hope you will check that out. And again, I also have some acting videos and singing videos, and I share some of my healthy vegan recipes when I have time, photos from my weekly hikes. So please take a minute to subscribe to my channel if any of that sounds good. And if you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please remember to give me a thumbs up. That is going to do it for today. Thank you for joining me for another successful teeny tiny baby DIY. And I hope to see some of you back here tomorrow for day 1 of my 7th annual slap challenge. That is going to do it for today. I will see you all soon. Bye.